What is up? It's Dakota Layden here from Destination Fear, and you are listening to the Paranormally Zone.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey there, fellow zoners and paranormal ponderers. You are in the Paranormally Zone, your weekly dose of all things, hey, you guessed it, paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the grateful to not be chasing large dogs through 3 feet of cold, wet snow.
In my bare feet.
In his bare feet, Mike Carbino. Mike, what the hell happened on Friday? Please share your story. Share your story. I feel like you need to get it off your chest.
Oh, my dog, my Great Pyrenees. She jumped the fence and just ran. And they're known to do that because they like to protect an area that they live. I mean, they're very territorial. So she was like running back and forth up this hill, and I ran after. I had my jammy pants on, just paper thin, and no socks or shoes or anything on. Okay, no jacket.
Wait a minute. You have paper thin jammies?
Well, they're very thin. They're very thin.
Okay, just paper thin just doesn't seem like comfortable.
Not even good inside the house. No.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
So I was yelling for her, and I was hitting the vibrate and tone signal on her collar because she comes with that usually. The tone just, and nothing. Just ignoring me, running back. It was like I was Chevy Chase watching his dog running back and forth and never seeing him again. That was the way this was in Funny Farm. The movie.
I was going to say in Funny Farm. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
Yeah, it was bad. But
now describe yourself. You said paper thin jammies.
Yeah,
but you were trudging through deep snow up a hill.
Well, I didn't go up a hill. She was up a hill. Like behind her house, there's an alley and then another house. And then there's this very big hill that goes up to this open area that just, open for miles. Anyway, so yeah, she was up there and she's been obsessed with this house all since we got her anyway. She goes out in the backyard and she's staring and staring and staring. If she sees anything, she's barking like crazy. So like when she got out, she was over there just, doing the whole patrol thing.
Now, how exactly did you get this very large dog back under your control?
Well, I kept yelling for her, and I had the neighbor come out. Mike, are you okay? So I'm just trying to get my dog.
Well, because when you texted me on Friday, because we were planning on recording Friday early evening, and you requested that we postpone until today. Today's Sunday, by the way, Sunday, March 5th.
I'm still not recovered. Yeah.
He's still not recovered. Man, I could feel you were flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And you're frustrated. I could feel it just by reading your text. And I think you said you kept falling over.
I did.
Oh,
I did. I got over this one part of the fence because if there was no snow, it would be no problem. But the snow is so high that there's like a 2-foot area. This one 2 foot tall part of the fence hanging out or sticking out of the snow. She gets out. So now she's cabled up, of course, now, but when she goes out, but until spring. But so anyway, I was in this by this garage yelling at her at this house. And she finally came and jumped down this little hill thing and came around to me, got a hold of her collar, and she was like, okay, let's go home now. On her time.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I had my fun. Come on, come, Dad, follow me home. And you're in the meantime, you're like half dead. Your feet are freezing. You're in your paper thin jammies.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And my body. I mean, you know how bad my body is anyway. Well, my back, my knees, my feet, and here I've fallen in the snowbank, and I can't get up. And that's when my neighbor is asking, "Is everything okay?"
I don't mean
and
to
I'm
laugh.
trying to
I'm
get
sorry,
up.
but that was.
I cannot get up.
Oh, no.
Everything's locked up. My back is totally shot. And finally, I reached over and I grabbed this post that I was able to pull myself enough with my good arm, because my right arm I can't hardly use because of other issues. I've told you that. And then I finally was able to get up that time. And
oh, Michael.
I knew for sure that I was going to end up in these people's driveway on my back, rolling back and forth, trying to get up until somebody finds me. I swear to God.
Just so everyone knows, that's Mary laughing in the back. That isn't me laughing at your expense this time, even though I did giggle earlier. I'm sorry.
I like it when Mary gets a chuckle and
because I had a vision when you said, sorry. Oh man, it's terrible. I just had a vision when you said you fell into a snowbank and you couldn't get up. And I just pictured poor Mike, you're laying on your back, sprawled out, and all you see are like your hands and feet sticking out from the snow.
Yep.
Oh man.
Or just my feet.
Just your feet, just
that's how much snow we have out here.
Back and forth, just struggling to right himself. Oh man. So
like a tortoise that is not going to survive.
There you go. You're like a Galapagos tortoise on its back. Oh man. Well, Mike, no, we are not giggling at you. That was just kind of it's unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. But you asked if we could postpone. I'm like, of course we can. My God, go and recover, because I'm assuming that you were pretty wound up and worn down probably too.
Oh, I'm like I said, I'm serious about not being recovered yet.
God damn.
My trying to walk and my back and my feet. I don't know.
Mike,
it's slowly getting better.
Can you ask your doctors in your next doctor appointment? Can you ask them to just cut your head off?
Yeah.
And put it on some cryogenically frozen body that they've been preserving and see if that maybe could work. I mean, they can get that done overnight, couldn't they?
Right now, I'd take the body of a freaking lemur if I could.
A lemur?
It doesn't matter. I just, a chimp, whatever.
Now I'm picturing you poking your head out of the desert floor, desert ground. There's Mike looking for low flying birds of prey.
Yep. Alerting the family.
The rest of the family. There's Mike. Oh man.
The lemur pack. Oh, damn it. Twitching black and white striped tails all over the place. Anyway, we got a great show we need to get on.
I know. Well, I wanted you to share your story because, in all honesty, I want you to talk about it and let it go, and so you can move on.
And I know there's probably plenty of listeners get a real kick out of it, so it's okay.
But we do have a cool topic lined up. I mentioned it's on an episode or two ago, and we're finally here. I love this idea of the notion, I should say, the possibility,
or the reality of,
perhaps the reality of your soul. I'm doing air quotes, soul, however you choose to describe a soul, as being able to travel. And by traveling, I'm not saying like from one house to the next, knocking on people's doors and hello. No.
Or you could do that if you wish.
I guess you could. I am thinking about essentially time traveling within your own lifespan. The idea of your soul being able to visit your physical body, your physical existence at that time, your physical representation, perhaps to help guide you in moments of need. I texted you that, a couple weeks ago, and it seemed like you liked that idea. And
Oh, absolutely.
well, here we are.
It struck a chord right away.
Yeah, so much so that we're still doing it. Usually when we have ideas, thrown out there weeks in advance, we forget about them or we change our mind. That's how it usually works. And we're like, oh, what should we talk about today? 5 minutes before we start recording. But no, this is almost 2 weeks in the working, even though we both started doing quote unquote research earlier today. But
well, but we were getting it straight in our minds as well, because it's a kind of it can be a deep subject.
Well, and I did, as longtime listeners know, ding, 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 as Mike knows, I'm a professional when it comes to my note taking, and I have a
perfectionist.
I have a few notes, not nearly as much as I usually do. And,
wow, but they look pretty good.
And my handwriting is fairly decent. Usually, it's only legible. I am the only one who can interpret it. Usually,
and those ones are all written in the same direction.
Right. I know. Usually they're all over the place, both sides of the piece of paper here. This is the professional piece of paper right here. Hell yeah. But I wrote down some notes here, some bullet points, and I think before you know it, we'll have a good episode. We'll have a good discussion on some of this shite.
Yeah. Now we're talking a difference here of there is soul travel, astral projection and things like that. Which is a fantastic subject.
I have that jotted down here, Mike. Don't get ahead of yourself here.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying that, this is like opening up a whole new aspect of astral projection. I mean, it can be categorized as the same thing, but you're going off on a whole different side road, and the side road's going to get deep.
Well, let's start this discussion, Mike. I'll throw it towards you.
Sure.
Off the cuff. I love putting you on the spot. How do you define a soul? What do you think of when I ask you, what is a soul?
Well, to me, it is the energy, the spark of life. It's what makes us who and what we are. It is us at our purest and most raw self being. It's what we are. You take the physical away of what we are, and you still have the soul, that energy that is still you.
Do you think the term soul is maybe kind of inhibited a bit with a religious context? Where, you know what I mean?
Right.
We're not like,
I do.
I'm not necessarily referring to like the biblical, soul rises to heaven and all that. I'm not really.
Right.
I don't think you are either. I think the soul is one of many different terms, I guess, to describe the same thing.
Oh, exactly the same thing, because whatever you want to call it, it's still that pure energy of who we are and what we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, would you like to know why and how this idea popped into my head?
That could be interesting, because this could really go off in another direction.
Well, it's actually really silly. I'll just cut right to it. Are you familiar with the late great comedian Richard Pryor?
Well, absolutely. If there's somebody that isn't, they've only been born in the last 2 weeks.
There you go. Legendary comedian, very polarizing, very divisive, but you can't deny his impact and his talent.
Oh, the talent, the acting talent, even. The movies he did.
They're
with
great.
Gene Wilder. Well, classic. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, speaking of movies, I was watching a Richard Pryor movie that I hadn't seen since I was, I don't know, back in the 80s, I would guess, when I was a wee lad. Even back then I was fascinated with this idea. But the movie isn't that great, but it's kind of a semi-autobiographical story of Richard's life. But it is, I shouldn't say but, the movie I'm referring to is called JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling. Are you familiar with that movie?
I don't think I've seen it, but I do know the title.
Well, long story short, too late. Essentially, the movie starts off, well, not essentially, the movie does start off with Richard acting as JoJo, kind of in the depths of his depravity, the lowest point of his life when it comes to like his drug addiction. And he basically essentially sets himself on fire by pouring rum all over himself and lighting it up.
Well, that's not exactly how it really happened, but
there's different versions. There's different versions. If you want to look into the Richard Pryor's life, feel free. Because he said one thing happened and other people say another thing was happening.
right.
Anyhow, JoJo's soul appears in front of JoJo at that very moment, telling him, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. Don't do this. The same soul, then throughout the movie's time frame is visiting JoJo from his childhood on up to that very moment. Kind of guiding him, kind of guiding him, kind of watching him, berating him, telling him like, God, you're a stupid asshole right now. Why are you doing this? And stuff like that. And the character of JoJo, particularly when he was a little kid, just sees his older soul as another gentleman talking to him on the street. He doesn't know that it's actually himself, his soul. And I love that idea. I
gotta watch that movie. I've never seen it. I would have remembered that.
Yeah, I think you would have too. Again, the movie isn't particularly great, but I love that idea.
Yeah.
So that's what got me kind of going down this path. And then I thought of another paranormal podcast that you and I are both fans of. Everyone knows this name. If they're into paranormal podcasting, they know the name Jim Harold. He was a guest on the Nonsense Cast Radio way back in like 2014, for gosh sakes. I'd love to talk to him again. I don't think you got to talk to him. No, you didn't.
No,
I didn't. It was Bridget and I who talked to Jim. But I will never forget one particular story that a guest of his shared. And I know I've talked about this on the podcast before. You'll recognize this when I get going here, Mike. Kind of along the same veins, there was a gentleman that called into Jim Harold's Paranormal Podcast, and he was talking about his bizarre, out-of-this-world experience, almost literally out-of-this-world experience. And I'll paraphrase here, and I'll do it as quickly as I can. When this person who called in, when he was recanting his story, or retelling his story, he was saying that when he was a young kid, he and his parents were over at their neighbor's house for whatever, pizza night, birthday party, hanging out. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. As a young kid, when he was still over at the guest's house, he asked his parents if he could go back across the street to his home for whatever reason. He wanted to grab a coat, a toy, I don't know. Gets over to his house, and he encounters someone in the house. No one should have been in there. The whole family was across the street. He described him as an older gentleman in the bathroom who was like looking at himself in the mirror, and this little kid freaked out. He's like, there's someone in the house. There's someone in the house. He bolts out of there. He tells his parents, there's someone over in the house. Of course, they run over there. No one's there. Now, fast forward about 20, 30 years, this grown-up young kid is back there visiting his parents at the same house. And he's just kind of going to the bathroom, doing his whatever. He's looking in the mirror, and he kind of has one of those deja vu moments. And then behind him, he sees what he describes as a quote-unquote ghost of a young boy in the bathroom looking at him, scared to death, wondering who the hell he is, then taking off, leaving the house. It was then that he realized, after looking in the mirror, he's like, holy shit, I am that grown-up man that I saw in this house when I was a kid. That blows me away. I love that story. Mike, what do you think of shit like that? I mean, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Does that have anything to do with the soul traveling? Is that something totally entirely different, in your opinion?
God. It certainly can be. I mean, it didn't have like a definitive reason for that travel, but if things can happen, like a soul travel can happen spontaneously, like an out-of-body experience or something like that, or that would make it more like a good one right there. Yeah. Boy, I tell you, that's a lot to
I know it
think
is.
about.
Does the possibility of some sort of time slip make any sort of sense?
A time slip sounds very feasible.
But it's like, as far, you hear a lot of these stories about, people who claim to experience time slips. They usually don't encounter their younger or future versions of themselves
in any way. It's obviously some kind of, it's a visitation that neither one of the beings of that one man had anything to do with. There's no, like I said, there's no reason for it. Why did they, or was it just to, 25 years later, this guy to realize for some reason that this actually happened? Why, we still don't know, but
is this some sort of evidence? Well, not evidence. Does this add weight to the idea of reincarnation? Maybe past lives, maybe reliving the same life, maybe parallel lives.
Parallel, yeah, very much.
The parallel life is the one that kind of sticks out to me. It's almost like they broke through that proverbial veil, but
which is always thin, I believe. Anyway, It's just that there are those moments where it gets so thin that it's almost open, or to the point where it is open, and that's when things come through. But
one might ask, well, why would they be? What are the chances of them, doing that exact same thing at the exact same moment in different lives? It's like, well, you kind of have to lend yourself to the possibility of we've done this an infinite amount of times,
right?
Already,
and it has to make you think of time means nothing,
right?
And it's a human construct anyway.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, I mean, we made up this whole notion of time just to help us exist,
right? So
without going nuts.
You figure, something that we made up, we think we did so right in the way it should be that it can't be any other way. It can't be that there isn't, something like this going on, or not such a thing as time. It's something that we've relied on since the beginning of time.
All right.
Put it that way.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But but it's just a human construct that can't be put on the any other universe, parallel, or dimension, or anything. It just doesn't work there.
And we'll get to a bunch of other possibilities too. Mike mentioned it briefly earlier, like the astral projection, the idea of the existence of an astral plane, where there's just an infinite amount of other universes almost, out there just existing in this, spiritual universe, I should say. Different dimensions, so to speak. And it's, oh my gosh, it's enough to make you stay awake at night sometimes.
And there's all these things, like you said, the dimensions or the parallel universes or whatever. There's got to be there could be hundreds of these different events like that happening all at the same time. You know what I mean? That we don't even know about.
Now, you mentioned earlier, and possibly some sort of connection to an out-of-body experience. I want to get back to that for briefly here. So, if this gentleman's particular experience was quote unquote out of body, so are we suggesting that it's some sort of hallucination that he was, thinking he was actually experiencing, but he was perhaps just conjuring up lost memories? Our consciousness holds a vast ocean, as the elder Rose says on the movie Titanic. She says the woman's heart is an ocean of memories, or whatever the hell she said. Same thing with your consciousness. It's or your subconscious. We've forgotten more than we will ever dream of knowing,
right?
Already.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is there any possibility? Yes, there is a possibility Do you think there's a possibility of that gentleman's particular experience simply being some form of hallucination?
Well, I think that can happen anytime.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mike's reading the subtitles here. I put the subtitles on.
I'm just, my eyes are just drugged to it.
So I told Mike, I joked. It's like, yeah, it's going to be kind of distracting because hopefully it won't make us realize how stupid we sound every time.
Yeah, and you can. I'm sure you see my eyes looking down.
I
and
did.
Going
That's
back
why I
and
brought
forth.
it up. It's like, I'm up here, Mike. I'm up here. Yep,
Yeah.
Look away. Look away.
Look in my eyes. My eyes are up here.
So you were saying that's always a possibility. It's a hallucination. But what do you think of that particular experience?
Well, why can't it be an actual experience? I mean, is there something that makes you think that it might be the more possibility of a hallucination, or
no, not
or just
necessarily.
that could be a possibility besides?
Well, no, it's a possibility, but it's a possibility that I don't necessarily believe in for this particular case.
Right.
But it's just the idea of it being an out-of-body experience. I mean, how would you describe an out-of-body experience, Mike? What do you think of when you think of an out-of-body experience?
It's your soul or your energy or what makes you you.
Now, can one have an out-of-body experience when it's not related to being damn near dead? Because you always hear about people having out-of-body experiences when they are perhaps on death's door. Now, can you have an out-of-body experience when you're fully alive?
Absolutely, you can have it while you're in asleep, dreaming. You can meditate yourself into a state of where you can do that, have an out-of-body experience. I mean, there are ways that you can just train yourself to do this thing. Mm-hmm. Like I said, with meditation, I've done that many times laying in bed where, trying to have like some kind of an out of body experience or
are you almost consciously trying to astral project?
Pardon?
Are you almost consciously trying to astral project?
Yeah, absolutely. That, with your meditation and, or in a dream state, I think a lot of times we do astral projection while you're dreaming in a dream state. It's probably easier during your unconsciousness, your subconscious mind, more opened up to let you do these things.
Well,
instead of having trepidation or hesitation in an awake state.
And we've spoken with several guests who have talked about it, and we agree with them how they believe that when dreaming is a form of experiencing the paranormal. Not all the time, but you definitely can.
But you can learn to tell the difference of one or the other. I mean, if you have a dream that is so realistic that and it never leaves you. I mean, I've had dreams that I've had when I was an extremely young child that haven't left me, and that because they're so real.
Same here. Yeah, I have those. Unfortunately, the ones that I remember are nightmares. So
yeah.
they're
and then
burned into my brain.
And then how many times do you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I know I had a dream, but I can't remember what it is. It's gone already.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, if there's a dream that can stay with you just as vividly for 55 years, things like that there's more to them.
Do you think that particular experience that gentleman claims to have had was that his soul visiting him? See, that's tough, isn't it?
It is tough. It is tough.
I mean, when it comes from both points of view, from the younger child and the adult version of himself, seeing what the other one was seeing. Is that somehow your soul? It's just that this blows my mind trying to
I feel like I'm just
mind around
stumbling and bumbling trying to.
No, you're not stumbling.
Even talk about it. It's like tripping like I'm
You
in
were
a snowbank.
Yeah, I was just going to say you were stumbling and bumbling last Friday. You are not
Yeah.
doing that right now. You're fine.
Yeah. No, I think it's all astral projection. I think it's all your soul leaving your body. There's just different categories of it, and there's different ways of doing it. There's different reasons for doing it. And I think your soul leaving at a certain time to go ahead or backwards, to me, it's got to be a possibility, because our physics don't work in that dimension, that realm, that everything.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, if I can be in that dimension or whatever and think to myself, I'm going to fly up to that corner of the room and do it. It's because there's no physics there that we rely on here.
Right.
So
that's what adds to the difficulty of trying to wrap our minds around this, because this other existence is something that we basically can't comprehend.
Right.
We can try our damnedest. Our damnedest, but I don't think it's going to happen.
The Kaku does. He understands it all, but
the who?
The Kaku.
Oh. God damn, I thought you had another dog in your house or something. I was like, what? like, oh no, that'd be a bird or whatever the hell. What's a cockatoo? What is that? Is that a bird?
That's a bird.
Yeah, okay. For some reason, I thought you had
it can be a bird or a dog or whatever you wish it to be, Peter.
Okay. Well, I want it to be a dog, okay?
Yeah.
No.
I want you to be a fluffy kitty.
Okay. Mikio Kaku, our favorite theoretical physicist, the silver-haired fox, Mr. Mikio Kaku.
Yeah. But I think he covers all of physics, not just theoretical physics.
Is Mikio Kaku an alien? I mean, think about it. How do some people's brains work like that?
I think his brain is more developed than a lot of others that make him closer to being one of them, I think.
I mean, is he one of us? He's obviously enlightened in some form.
Absolutely. For a physicist and a scientist, the man is phenomenal with the mind, the openness of his mind.
Yes.
But the thing is,
as opposed to another one, Neil deGrasse.
Neil
Tyson.
Good. Yeah.
Again, we're not nothing against him, but he's.
Oh no, I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. I'm sure
he's funny. As far as being open-minded to the possibility of ghosts and the paranormal, Neil deGrasse Tyson, no way. Whereas Mikio Kaku was like, well, why not? I mean, this almost makes sense.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. I think Mikio Kaku, has that intelligence and his ability to grasp that stuff, that he's smart enough to know that there's a possibility of that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not like he's not like the kid that grew up when he grew up to a certain age, he quit believing because everybody told him that's not real.
Yeah.
Well, Mikio Kaku is beyond that because he knows the difference. He knows that it's a possibility.
And he's a damn fine storyteller. I mean, he's just a joy to listen to. It's like, man, that would be a college course I would look forward to every day if, he was the professor.
Yeah, he has a show that I watch on, I think it's on the Discovery Channel. And he explains so many things on there, each episode. I can't remember what the name is, though. Excuse me.
Yeah, Mike is also having throat issues thanks to his near-death experience with a nasal spray.
Yeah, that's another fun story.
Well, share that. Would you like to share that real quick? Well, I'm looking up something briefly here.
Yeah, along with all my other ailments. God dang. I bought one of those nasal spray bottles where you fill it with distilled water and you put this saline solution powder in and shove it up one nose and it comes out the other side, which is difficult to begin with. But don't ever do that without totally closing your throat off.
Oh, man.
And that goes into other parts of your head. Because when I started shoving that water up my sinuses, something happened on the right side of my throat by my neck where my ears just like they blew.
Oh my God.
And it's like I had, like when you go swimming and you get water in your ear.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Well, I had that in both my ears, like from the inside.
I bet you that was real comfy.
I mean, that's what it felt like. It was just crazy.
Instead of going through one nasal passage to the other, it like went through the back of Mike's head. That's
it
basically
went
what it
on a
felt like.
joyride through my head. Oh man, but yeah.
Well, thank you for killing time because I found what I wanted to talk about.
Okay, good.
Because I did write that down on my very professional notes, but I wanted to look it up real quick to refresh my memory. Because we had talked about this before. I think it was a alternate route podcast episode, so it's been a while. But the notion of walk-ins, Mike, you remember talking about those?
Oh, hell yeah. We had a great discussion
on that. And I think that you even shared your belief that you may have had a walk-in experience.
Many years ago at my lowest point.
At your lowest point, which is kind of how it seems to happen quite a bit for people who have experienced this. For those who don't know, a walk-in is like a concept of, it's a new age concept of a person whose soul, I mean, we're talking about souls, has left their physical body.
Yeah, it's like it's just done.
It's done.
You can't learn anymore from what that person's been through.
And it's replaced, essentially, temporarily, by a new, different soul. That
maybe not even temporarily.
Maybe not temporarily. It could be forever. But, both are options. You hear people saying that some have come and gone and some perhaps they are still there. But the idea of this is that this walk-in soul is there to help you handle, to cope, to deal with things that the prior soul may not, like Mike said, it was done. It was like, I'm out of here. I may not have been able to help you as much as needed.
Soul learned what it needed to learn in that physical existence at that time.
So the brief description here says that believers in this concept maintain that it is possible for the original soul of a human to leave a person's body and for another soul to quote-unquote walk in. Now, based on a particular book by author Montgomery, souls are said to walk in. Ruth Montgomery, by the way. 1979 book, Strangers Among Us. That sounds like a cool book. Have you heard of that one? Let's look up Ruth Montgomery because she goes into... Ruth Montgomery, 1979, Strangers Among Us, her book. So in Montgomery's work, she says that souls are said to walk in during a period of intense personal problems on the part of the departing soul, or during or because of an accident or trauma. Some other walk-ins describe their entry as occurring based on prior agreement and when the previous soul was complete, like Mike kind of suggested.
Right. That's like the soul that was with your physical being all the way down to the bottom. I mean, that was the pre-planned, learning experience for this soul. It got there. It was done. It was ready to go on to whatever's next for you. That, your soul. Yeah.
The walk-in being / individual retains the memories of the original personality, but does not have emotions associated with those memories. That's an interesting little side note there. Now, as they integrate, oh my God, I can't read, Mike. Integrate, they bring their own mental, emotional, spiritual consciousness and evolve the life to resonate with their purpose and intentions.
Yeah.
So it's a mind-blowing concept, but I love it.
You think of these movies of, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Pod People. It's like, it's like an alien being. I don't want to get into that again, but
That's
it's like an alien being coming in and taking over your body, and it's like, everything's fine after you're taken over by the alien, after you're born out of this pod, you're not you anymore, but you've retained your memories and things. It's just bizarre.
Do you care to share your personal feelings as to your potential experience of a walk-in?
Well, I briefly,
Yeah.
You mean my own personal...
Your thoughts on why you think you may have experienced this?
Well, I may have... Oh, yeah. Well, just the fact that how at the bottom of my existence I was feeling. I was like, and I've told this story a long time ago. The
lowest of the low. Mike was not in a good state.
It's like, in the next 2 minutes, you don't care if that first minute you lived, or that second minute you died.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how low.
Yeah.
And that's when I just, it's like I had this, this real guttural feeling, and it's like a discussion with myself of, I can't do this anymore. There's no way I'm going to survive this. And this is already after a whole night of handfuls of like ephedrine and all that crap and everything. But just, the
lowest of the low. Mike was not good.
And but it's like I had to make a decision of what I was going to do, if I was going to survive or not. And it's like all of a sudden, right at that moment there, I had to decide if I was going to love people or hate people, or just, continue on. And it's like within a few minutes, that answer was given to me of, you're going to love everybody. You're going to come through this. You're going to be a much better, different person, and you're going to evolve from it. It still took a long time. I mean, it wasn't like an overnight thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, my soul might have been rejuvenated and, carrying on, but my physical being, it took a long time. I mean,
it took a while for that to, catch up.
Just to catch up and, just kind of like be part of life again. But it was a beginning, there has to be a beginning, and there has to be some kind of a transition, and
you
can't
a
go through
continuance.
something. Yeah. And a continuance. You can't go through something that big and that monumental without there being, some recovery time. It's just a huge thing.
Yeah, it's I definitely am open to that possibility. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's quite cool, actually.
It is, yeah.
And there are some who believe that, we're not necessarily talking about I'm going to use the term again, soul, like a energy, a being of light that is constantly inhabiting a physical form. That's not necessarily the case, because there are some who strongly believe that these walk-ins literally exist outside of the body at all times. They are a separate entity all to themselves, and they are particularly just this walk-in. And they are continuously going from those in need to those in need to another in need, and then they move on. You get what I'm saying there?
I do. But is that are you saying that that's an explanation possibly for a walk-in, or is that like a guardian angel type thing?
Well, that's some who are really, and I kind of buy in this too. Some who are fully behind this concept of a walk-in. The walk-in itself is not just a soul that jumps from body to body to body and is always encompassing a physical existence. It is something that is born out of the body. It is something that is not a physical entity by any means, and is literally just, its manner of existence is just to help from person to person, whoever is in need. It's almost like Dr. Sam Beckett and Quantum Leap. You know?
No kidding. I love that whole theory too. That concept of that. Yeah, I mean, if that's the way it is too, that's awesome.
I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself with that Sam Beckett Quantum Leap analogy, because that that makes it make even more sense to me.
Yeah,
I love that show back in the 80s.
Oh yeah, me too. But yeah, then that way you can keep your soul, your identity of your soul with your physical being, and then it's just helped through by a separate entity.
So it I can see where you're going there, where the idea almost suggests that we don't have our own permanent soul that occupies us. Our life is continuously inhabited by perhaps several different souls who are just helping us throughout different times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of, oh boy. That blew my mind a little bit right there.
There's the soul, and then the thought of this energy or this being or this soul that stays with you and helps you through. Is that the same as a guardian angel, or is that a different category of a guardian angel, would you think? because you always hear of a guardian angel being there with you, with your physical being, watching over you and things like that.
Yeah, that's see, I don't think so because the guardian angel concept, isn't it kind of, it's particularly assigned to you, right? I mean, there's a guardian angel who's overlooking you.
Talk about your angels, your spirit guides.
Right. Whereas this idea of a walk-in could help innumerable amount of people. You know what I mean? It moves from one to the next to the next. It's not like, quote unquote, assigned to one person.
Right.
So that's the only difference there. The concept is similar, but that's a difference that comes to mind for me.
So what about Touched by an Angel with Roma Downey and Highway to Heaven?
Aw, R.I.P. R.I.P. Michael Landon and Victor French.
So wouldn't that be kind of that what we're talking about? Or
I think you moved your mic far away from your. I can't hear you nearly as well here. But that's
having issues with it, and I think it.
There you go. You sound good right there.
Oh wait.
Yeah, I thought I was having some medical issues myself. I was like, why can I not hear Mike anymore? Am I being absorbed by a walk-in?
Is that okay now?
That's better. Yeah. It is.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I mean, this is all similar. This is all related, I think, to the idea of traveling souls. I mean, the actual projection and all that. It's, again, is it all the same thing that we're struggling so hard to understand it that we have to label it? We have to think of different ways to describe it, but it's all basically the same notion.
Humans need more help than what we like to admit.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. Another note that I wrote down here, Mike. God damn, it's already 45 minutes. This has been awesome discussion, by the way. I jotted down here time travel after death. Now, in reference to the soul, do you think that is a possibility, Mike? Your physical body is done. Your physical body dies. Your soul doesn't necessarily doesn't go to heaven. It doesn't go wherever, any particular destination, but it does perhaps have the ability. Well, you have the ability then to time travel. The notion of time doesn't exist. We get it. It's something it's a human construct, like Mike said. So once your physical body dies, can your soul go back in time and say hello to little baby Mike?
I think yes, because I think that's as easy after you die as us driving to the gas station for like a Coke or something.
You're not constrained, are you?
You're not constrained at all. And since there is no time, there's no, set, timeline of anything. Why not? It's like, and I think it's done with just like a thought. And it's not
right.
You are the energy that, say like, if you're in a house, you turn the light on, you flip the switch. That's the action of using the energy that's in there. You have it all inside of you. So it's like using your mind, like flipping that switch where I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
It's like setting that dial. Just say it. Just think it.
And again,
make it manifest just by the thought of it, because you are the energy that makes it happen.
That's very well said. And again, it's kind of like we're going back to the human construct again here and trying to simplify things just to help us understand. But when we use the term or the phrase time travel, I mean, our brain immediately goes to one thing, but it doesn't necessarily think of the idea of, well, time travel doesn't exist for a soul. I mean, it could be any and anywhere, anytime, at all times.
Because it's not a matter of time travel. It's just, that's what's being done at the time.
Oh my God.
The moment.
My brain is melting right now. I love it. Not the physical, not the physical melting part, but
no.
My gosh.
I'm with this topic like this, it's making me not be able to wait for my medical marijuana card. I can't wait for that.
Why didn't you toke up a little bit before this discussion, Mike? Come on, buddy. Oh,
well, I got to get my card first.
Oh, card schmard. Come on.
Well, I like to do things legally.
Oh, sure you do. Okay. All right, gotcha, Mike.
But anyway, this goes further, deeper than what our minds can. Our minds are human. We can't grasp this. And a lot of we're not meant to until that time comes. But we keep trying. We keep trying to figure it out and learn, and we'll still continue, but it's just not all going to happen because it's not meant to.
But that is
for us to know yet.
That is a part of the beauty of this physical existence, is that it is a learning experience, right?
Yeah. That's the whole reason of us being here.
Yep.
It's a school. It's a planet of schooling. And then if you want to get into the whole hippy dippy crap, then you can think it's all
hippy dippy.
Also, all peace and love and compassion and love each other. And yeah. Sounds like I already got my medical marijuana card.
Yeah, Mike had some edibles earlier today, so he's okay. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But I wouldn't care if you did. No one should care if you did.
I ate a lot of jelly beans last night.
That doesn't count.
And I'm drinking cherry apple juice now.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, a bit of a change up.
It's still a lot of sugar, but that's healthier than a Coke.
I figured you might have been wondering what was in my glass.
I knew you weren't drinking rum. I knew that, or brandy, or whatever.
I have not had a drink since my 2.5 that I had at the Sally House.
What the hell is wrong with you? See, now I think that you're just wrong.
Oh no.
I'm kidding.
Hey, I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again.
But that's great though. That's awesome. That's really, really good. You probably feel wonderful because of I shouldn't say you feel wonderful. When it comes to your innards.
If everything else felt good, that would feel fantastic. But,
that's very true. Very, very, very true.
Mentally, it is fantastic.
Now, getting further along here, the idea of the astral plane. Now, I am going to read a little bit of this just because this stuff it's mind-blowing. But I love it. I think I've said that about 95 times today. The astral plane, also known possibly as the astral realm or the astral world, is a plane of existence postulated by classical, medieval, oriental, esoteric philosophies
No.
and mystery religions. What?
You just went over the edge there with the deepness.
Did I? Okay, I apologize. It is the world of the celestial spheres crossed by the soul in its astral body on the way to being born and after death. It is generally believed to be populated by angels, spirits, or other immaterial beings. Another view of the astral plane holds that the astral plane or world, rather than being some kind of boundary area crossed by the soul, it is the entirety of spirit existence or spirit worlds to which those who die on earth go, and where they live out, I'm doing air quotes, live out their non-physical lives. It is understood that all consciousness resides in the astral plane. Some believers / writers, theorists, conflate this realm with heaven or paradise or union with God. Now, kind of mind-blowing stuff there. The idea of an entire different existence, basically worlds, universes, and planes of just spirits, Mike. This idea here, I will read this very briefly. This is according to the book Autobiography of a Yogi. It says here, this is quote, "The astral universe is hundreds of times larger than the material universe, with many astral planets teeming with astral beings." Now, when author Alice Bailey wrote of seeing, quote-unquote, masters upon the inner spiritual planes who work with Christ and the planetary hierarchy, she refers to a vision she had of the unseen astral realm that these and countless other beings inhabits. We've kind of touched on stuff like that before, Mike, of how, I mean, I shouldn't say we've jokingly said it, but we've kind of said, like, was Jesus Christ an alien, you know? I mean, we both, regardless of your stance on Christianity, Mike, or mine, or anyone's, we both tend to agree that Christ was an enlightened being. Is that safe to say?
Right. Absolutely.
How enlightened, or why enlightened, by whom? Well, I mean, we're not going to venture to guess right now, but this idea of astral beings being able to communicate with the hierarchy of these planetary beings here, like, all right, Christ, You are one of these enlightened here, and we're going to communicate with you. I like that idea. And you're going to help the other people on Earth here. So the idea of this utterly different, separate existence of the astral plane, Mike. What do you think of that?
Well, I love it, and I believe it. There's also, that astral plane where
I like how you pronounce that, by the way. You say astral.
astral.
Like you're in Austria or Australia.
I don't know. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong.
No, it's fine. I'm sure it's perfectly. I said I liked how you said it. It sounds
okay.
better for some reason.
Do I say astral?
Yeah, you said astral a couple times now.
Astral, yeah.
Mine's too similar
That's
to
what I
ass,
usually
I
say.
guess. Too similar to ass. So.
Yeah. Anyway,
and our captions, by the way, just said mine is too similar to ants. No, I didn't say ants.
yeah. Now you're making me lose my train of thought. Okay, astral, astral projection, or the astral plane.
Yes. When you say astral, too, I think of like Australopithecus, and so it's like, that's a whole different topic. Go ahead.
Yeah. We'll talk about that some other day. But anyway, your higher self is there, the spirit of yourself, and every spirit being that's there through meditation and whatever, you can actually are supposed to be able to get in touch with your higher self, your higher spiritual being that is supposed to be there, and learn from your higher self or the astral beings that are there. You can get in touch with them, where the Akashic records are, if you've ever heard of that.
What now? Explain that a little bit.
Akashic records. I'd have to Google it just to get it, to sound right, me describing it. But
okay. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm not familiar.
Okay, sure. I'm sure there's plenty of the listeners that know exactly what it is. That let's see. I was just going to try, but here.
Oh, okay, sure.
And there is a book about the Akashic records. Reading, Understanding Your Soul book, how to access Akashic records. It's something that's definitely worth looking into. Here, the Akashic records help identify the unchanging core of our own individual selves and help us understand and eventually confront the fears, phobias, and other energetic blocks. Anyway, look that up.
Sure.
And it's just that I believe that there is that place where these things are, and where you can gain information and knowledge and grow spiritually from contact with.
Okay. So, if we do believe that there's like the existence of this astral plane, this almost unfathomable existence, it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around it. I'm not saying that I don't believe in it, because I'm open-minded. Why not? I mean, it would help explain a lot of shit, if you ask me.
It would.
Are they integrated with every one of us, or just the enlightened ones, like I mentioned Christ earlier? I guess I'm kind of leaning towards, if they do this, if the beings from this astral plane communicate and interact with us here, they do it through another source.
Right. Yeah. It's like they appoint.
Yeah. Hey, a good term. Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Good word. Appoint. Yeah. He's anointed, maybe. I gotcha.
Sure.
Or she's anointed, I should say. Yeah. I keep looking up this idea of if a soul is fourth dimensional, and this crap is just blowing my mind away. Maybe we should save that for another, because that's another one of my notes I wrote down. I said the soul as fourth dimensional question mark. And I'm rereading some of the stuff I had grabbed earlier. It's like, oh God, my brain is literally going to start leaking out of my ears if I keep going to there. But well, Mike, God damn, we're already at an hour here. This has been freaking fantastic. Just because we need to get that YouTube fast track video recorded, because we need to get some more video content out there on YouTube, because believe it or not, we have a growing amount of subscribers on YouTube. We thank all you guys for listening via YouTube. That's awesome. I feel bad that we don't have more video content.
Well, we have to do that. I mean,
I wanted to post. I had posts, but I deleted it. I'm going to try and figure it out again, but it was posted very briefly on YouTube. Our video chat with Ron Moorhead from
Really?
from
Okay.
2 Novembers ago. Posted for whatever reason, it was like the size of an inch on the screen. It was so tiny. You couldn't see it. I was like, what the hell happened to my video here? I've been working on that. I've been trying to redo it, resize it. I don't know what the hell happened. That has never happened for any of the other videos I posted on YouTube, except that one.
Weird.
And I want to get that up there because people love listening to Ron Moorhead.
Sure.
We love listening to Ron Moorhead. So I'm going to work on that again. But we should probably wrap this up, Mike, so we can do a quick 10-minute fast track video episode so everyone can look at our glorious faces. And I'm sure you're so happy about that, aren't you?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. At least I'm losing some weight.
Well, yeah, look great, okay? At least you're not lying.
Sure.
You're not lying in a snowbank right now. So that'd be kind of or on a gurney or a hospital
or
bed.
A slab.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, oh my gosh.
Yeah, a metal table.
Are you going to be okay, Mike, for our Valiska House investigation?
Yep. Absolutely.
That's happening, my friend. I'm telling you that right now. Mike just rolled his eyes at me. He closed his eyes. He's like, oh, God.
Nope. I totally agree. Totally agree.
I'm losing faith in you about that one.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, we have to go there, man. We have to. I think that's teeming with some potential evidence right there. So
yeah, it would be a whole different feeling there than at the Sally House, I believe.
Yeah, and that was a great feeling there as well. God damn, sure. I wish we just went down in the freaking basement. Why don't we just go down in the basement?
I know.
No, we were two grown adults who were held at bay by a string.
But it could have been like silently alarmed or something. Some little infrared light. That
I see what you're saying. Like something would have. I don't think.
And
it
goes
bothered.
off at somebody's house.
Mike, that Sally House has a TV from like the 1970s. I highly doubt they have like motion detector thing or something like an alarm system going down there. But hey, maybe they did.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I tried to get that TV working. I was trying to get some sort of. They had a couple DVDs there, and I was trying to get to play, but nothing was compatible. Nothing was working.
Yeah.
So I got to listen to Mike snore. And that was fine.
And the sump pump in the basement.
The sump pump and the sports radio station, the sports AM radio station that I got down in Kansas. And to my utter dismay as a Minnesota Vikings fan, of course, down in Kansas, they were still talking about the Green Bay flipping Packers on there. So I don't know why, but hey. So I was having an awake nightmare. Got the snoring, got the sump pump, got the Aaron Rodgers talk. I had the irrational fear that a bunch of mice were living in that chair.
That chair was squeaking when I was moving it.
It sounded like a family of mice. It did.
Yeah, well, when I was trying to move it back at the time, I heard some squeaking, and it was the sound of springs in the rocking chair part.
I know. I was just a little on edge because I was sleeping on the floor, and I was having icky feelings about mice crawling up my nostrils, or something. But I don't know.
Well, I got to tell you, that couch I slept on, it was really old,
but comfy.
And I laid on it, and I sunk into it like a waterbed, and oh man. I was good. Mike
was out. And another thing, too, I also had to deal with you. Mike falls asleep listening to his cell phone. He listens to, like, radio stations on his cell phone.
I do. So, I listen to...
I'm listening to the mixture radio of his snoring, the talk radio, the sump
It's actually paranormal talk radio.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's just when I was trying to fall asleep, it wasn't that cool. But it's okay.
Yeah. I go to sleep by that most nights, yeah.
And I tease, by the way, because... because we got poked fun at by awesome listener Angela Dawn the last time we talked about that. She said, "Man, you guys sound like an old married couple."
Yeah,
I'm talking about your snoring and all that crap. And
yeah, that would, I guess.
It did, but that's
crazy.
We, after having an hour-long discussion about stuff like this, Mike, I need this come down at the end of these episodes to just kind of revert back to our, dare I say, immature minds for a moment or two.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyways, thanks for making this work, Mike. If you guys enjoy the podcast and you'd like to support us, no better way than to sign up for our Patreon page. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month. We just posted in the first episode of season 2 of Retro and Randoms. I was joined by my brother Joe. We talked, had a great time talking about all things Saturday Night Live. Retro and Randoms is a fun side project that we're doing. I hate saying side project because it's this project itself. It's another podcast. It's totally separate entity. Mike and I started this. We've had a blast. We had 10 episodes for season 1. Just started season 2. Mike's going to join me for episode 2 here pretty soon. We have lots of great topics coming up. Lots of great paranormal stuff on the Patreon page. I joke about it. If you want to see Mike and I running around in our underwear in the cemetery, you're not going to see that, but you will see us in a lot of our investigations. We have a lot of EVP stuff. Potential EVPs, no doubt about it, EVPs on there. We got some cool video content, lots of exclusive Patreon episodes that you can't find anywhere else where we talk about. You think the stuff we talk about is weird here? Go check out our Patreon topics because wacky doesn't describe them, but it's fun and we're having a blast. If you guys want to support us, go check us out. Sign up for a month, no obligations. If you don't like it, you can take off. Simple as that. Mike, thank you, buddy, for joining me.
Yeah.
Mike is literally like rolling his eyes at me. He's like, wrap it up, Koffenberg. Wrap it up. Do you have to pee or something? You seem very irritated right now.
Nope, totally good.
Okay.
I'm just listening to you plugging all of our fun stuff.
Okay. Thank you for saying plugging the fun stuff, guys. I didn't know where you're going there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is obviously the Paranormal Zone, but you knew that we love and appreciate all you guys. Until next time, Mike, what do our fellow zoners need to do?
Peace out.